My father demanded 85% of my paycheck to support my sister and said the remaining 15% was more than enough for me. When I refused, he threw me out. Years later, they showed up at my door desperate for money. Can you believe my own father, actually tried to strong-arm me into handing over most of my paycheck right after I'd finally started building a life for myself? It wasn't just a request, it was a demand, an ultimatum that ripped my world apart and forced me to choose between my future and their warped idea of family. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting at the kitchen table, just sorting through bills, the mundane stuff of adulthood. I just landed my first real job out of college, junior accountant at a firm in Portland. The salary? Honestly, it was barely enough to cover rent on my tiny studio apartment and groceries, but it was mine. I'd earned it, you know? After years of juggling school and part-time jobs, graduating with honors, while my older sister, Natalie, well, she dropped out of college twice and was back living at home. Then Dad walked in. I saw that look on his face, the one that meant he'd already made up his mind, and everyone else just needed to fall in line. Mom was right behind him, wringing her hands, a nervous habit she always picked up when something awful was brewing. "We need to talk about your finances," he stated, pulling out a chair right across from me. I glanced up from the stack of envelopes. "What about them?" "Natalie needs help," he said, like that explained everything. My sister's divorce from Travis was a train wreck, getting uglier by the day. She couldn't afford a decent lawyer, had the kids to think about, and her apartment was apparently falling apart. Look, everyone knew her marriage to Travis had been a disaster from day one, everyone except Natalie, apparently. He cheated in the first year, drained their joint account twice, and eventually left her for some woman he met at a bar. It was a mess, absolutely. But it wasn't my mess. "That's terrible," I said carefully, trying to tread lightly. "But I'm not sure what that has to do with my finances." Dad leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. Family. Family helps each other. Your mother, and I think you should contribute to Natalie's expenses until she gets back on her feet. The word contribute should have been my first clue, but I was still naive enough to think it meant something reasonable. So I asked, "How much are we talking about?" And his answer? 85% of my monthly salary. I actually laughed. It was a sharp, disbelieving sound that just burst out of me. "You're joking." "I'm completely serious." His expression didn't even flicker. "You're young, you don't have kids, and you're living in that tiny apartment. You don't need much. Natalie has 2 children who need stability. 12-year-old Mason and 9-year-old Olivia deserve better than what Travis left them with." Mom finally spoke up, her voice thin and weak. "It would just be temporary, sweetheart. Just until Natalie finds a job and gets the child support sorted out." I slowly set down the pen I was holding. 85% would leave me with about $500 a month. That wouldn't even cover my rent, let alone food, gas, and my student loans. "You can move back home," Dad said, as if it was the most obvious solution in the world. "Your old room is still there. You won't have expenses, so 15% will be plenty for gas and personal items." That's when it all clicked into place, like a trap slamming shut. Move back home. Hand over my income. Become the family's ATM while Natalie rebuilt her life on my dime. I'd be stuck there for years, watching my sister and her kids live off my hard work, while I had absolutely nothing to show for it. "No," I said simply. Dad's face darkened instantly. "What did you just say?" Full story on channel link below. Click now to watch what happened next in the story.